Interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT. Welcome back to the podcast today, Profits of IT. Today I have with me Ron Thompson. Ron, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Sure. So my name is Ron Thompson. I'm a CEO of CAIL. That's CAIL. So CAIL does a number of things. One is we're a software company, and we provide software to many large enterprises to improve information access, security, and to modernize information services. The second thing that CAIL does is that we are active in disruptive innovation initiatives in enterprises. So basically, innovation has many forms, and we really encourage enterprises to go for the bigger opportunities. The analogy is to hit the home runs. So innovation is around singles, doubles, and triples, but you need the odd home run to win the ball games. And if you're going to be around for a long time in enterprises, you need to be able to do these different forms of innovation to be successful. And the third thing that we do at CAIL is venture investing. So the idea is to support entrepreneurship, where there's new platforms, new services, and they can meaningfully disrupt industries or really enable enterprises to meaningfully improve outcomes by utilizing their capabilities. So we work with these founders who've got these software capabilities for enterprises to either improve internal operations, efficiencies, and so forth, or partner with enterprises who then go to market with these capabilities from the startup to expand their relevance and revenue opportunities with their clients, to grow their markets and to go into new markets, to make even, have more presence, create more wealth, and so forth. So it's the software company, it's the business innovation services, and the venture investing that CAIL does.
Cool. Sounds like some interesting stuff. So what would you say are some of your interests and competencies related to business?
Yeah, our interests are helping people develop better look-ahead skills and more confidence about how to move their business and themselves forward. So the appeal here is the huge opportunities if you get it right. But the big challenge is that many things don't work out. And the ratio is like a factor of 10 or 20 or 100 to 1 of the failures to the successes. So basically, unless you have a lot of wherewithal and a brain trust of different complementing capabilities, you could well get stuck trying to figure out which is not going to work, and you waste time and effort and resources there, versus knowing how to test for what's probably going to be a good outcome. And if it's not happening, move on. And so this is really important. Otherwise, you will never get to the good opportunities. Because, for example, we've seen thousands of opportunities here at CAIL, and we've done under 100, initiatives, investments, and so forth. And we wish we had done less than half of that. So it gives you a feel for the numbers. So you can easily get bogged down in the many thousands of things that don't work out to the few that do. And even of the few that do, you have the singles, doubles, and triples, and the home runs. Well, it turns out the home runs are critical for success because they pay for everything else. And if you don't have that in place, then it's not a sustainable business, either when you fund startups or an enterprise doing innovation. So the whole innovation mindset here needed to be successful and having these new skills and so forth. So that's where we add value, so we contribute to success.
Got it. So if I'm an entrepreneur, how do I know if my my current thing that I'm working on is going to be be successful or not. How do you evaluate opportunities, and how should I be evaluating my own opportunities or my own projects, if you want to call them that, to know if it's going to be if I'm going to be one of the successful ones or one of the thousands of that don't succeed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a bunch of things involved to help with understanding here. One of the things with these founders or even people in enterprises doing innovation is they tend to have what we look at as a sort of narrow view of the world, or what they know about. And the problem is no one person can know it all. Either the landscape today, the technology options today, or where it'll be in the future. So that's where we need this brain trust with these people with different and complementing capabilities and connections who can look at things from different perspectives to help assess probability of success. So an example of this is you got maybe 3, 4, 5 people who are highly competent in different areas. Say, one has a technology background, one is strong with business development, another in management, another in finance, and customer experience and stuff like that. So if they look at something from their perspectives and think it's a good idea, you probably got a pretty good chance. There's still lots of challenges, but it's a good start. And so what happens is, invariably, as these things move along, either a business innovation initiative or a startup trying to scale, is you get to these Y's in the road. And one path takes you to the next, level, the other path over a cliff. The problem you got at the Y in the road, you frequently don't know which is which. So how do you test?
That's a great question.
So you need to have this experience around and a bunch of other, things you're looking for to read the symptoms. Like, for example, if one path, has some bushes in front of it, but it looks like it's the shorter path to the next stage, you might be trying to run down that path and get there in a quarter of the time as the other way. The problem is, on the other side of the bush is a cliff. And if you're running, it's game over. But when you're sitting at the Y in the road and you're a young, inexperienced person or someone with not a lot of experience, it's not obvious. First, you don't know to walk before you run, and you don't know how to test. And you don't know how to look ahead as to what maybe the reason why there's a bush there, even though it's a shorter way, there's a reason why the bush is there to act as a blocker. But in your enthusiasm, in your inexperience, you're just going for it. And when you're in these moments, in these initiatives, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement and your own self-belief and not realize there's a bunch of other stuff around that is quite harmful. In fact, there's many, many more challenging and harmful things around you than assets. And even we get people who are experienced telling you certain things, it's unbelievable how few folks can understand what's being said because they just don't have any context. Be like someone telling me the math of how to get to the moon. Well, the first thing that you see from me is a glazed eye look. But my genius is I'll go get a physicist and guys who know what aerospace and figure out how to work with them to get us to the moon. Because I don't mind shared decision making. You realize there's a bunch of different competencies needed for anything to be successful. And you got to be comfortable in a team environment. So, for example, I like playing team sports. And a good example, say, is ice hockey.
Yep.
So I might have the highest scorer in the league or several highest scorers in the league, but if I get poor defense or poor goalie, I'm not going to win many games. And likewise, if I get the best goalie in the league, but guys can't put puck in the net on the opposition, we're not going to win either. And if the defense isn't strong, we're going to get containment in our zone. We're going to get pressure. We're going to, get goals scored on us. So you need this high caliber talent across the board. And that's the same thing in these innovation teams and enterprises, as well as in these startups. Because when you're doing these things, you're making a big bet on the people. Are they smart enough? Do they learn fast? Are they humble? Do they just realize how to collaborate and do 1+1 = 3, 5, or 10? So this gets into a lot of, assessing the people and yourself and creating good chemistry and a good attitude towards change and learning and, what the goals are and their shared values and shared objectives and a lot of stuff like that. So we look for these kind of things. Do the founders or folks in innovation teams have these qualities? And the vast majority of times they don't. So we walk.
Got it. All right. And is there a simple way you talked about testing? Is there a simple high-level way of generally testing to make sure you're going down the right path?
If you could test with 100% certainty, you let me know. There is no such thing. When you're doing the new, there's always huge elements of uncertainty and unknowns. So therefore, a lot of things aren't going to work out as expected. And there's many reasons for that. And so the analogy to look at this is you have this tree and it drops these cones on the ground. Every fall drops the cones on the ground. And in nature, they're hoping one of those is a new tree. But there could be dozens or hundreds or thousands of cones or little petals from a cone on the ground. And in nature, maybe one of those takes in a year or several years. Well, when you do venture investing or do meaningful innovation, it's the same odds. It's just nature. So that's where you need to have this intelligence, this brain trust, this look ahead, these high competencies, great attitude towards learning. So you can look at things from different perspectives and know what questions to ask and what metrics to put in place to move forward so that you know how to test. And if nothing else, put some red flags up. Maybe let's not run so fast because we're coming up to like quicksand. So either we need to go around it or we need to figure out how to get over it somehow. Or maybe it's a great big ocean and it's end of the journey. This thing's not going to go anywhere because we've got this huge obstacle. And these things all happen. So the trick we use to identify where this could go. So before we get to the edge of the ocean, we can't get the next, area, is we saw up front. Well, because we knew geography, for example, or we knew some element of physics, or we knew certain markets, or how people look at this stuff. So you need to have this insight to assess, the probability and how to be smart about it, and. So we really like to understand this kind of stuff when we engage, and that the founders and other investors and participants share this kind of awareness and can meaningfully contribute to improved decision making.
Got it. All right. Well, this has been really interesting. Do you have, I think it's like to wrap things up here. Do you have any closing remarks before we go?
Sure. Yeah, we like to encourage enterprises to innovate for impact. And we really do want to support the businesses of tomorrow and the entrepreneurs that are going to build these companies up. But make no mistake about it, it's all about adding intelligence to processes, having high competencies, and knowing how to think, and this mindset to create the future and to make things better. So just be smart about it and collaborate. So find others who can contribute, you can work with to make it happen. So, because whenever it works out, it's extremely rewarding. And that's why we're doing this stuff. But along the way, there are so many failures and challenges that if you aren't smart about it, you get discouraged and go away. And that's too bad because you're missing out on the future. And we're all about trying to create the future, make it a better future, more opportunities, and. So that's why we're doing this.
And so if a listener is looking to either learn more about your company CAIL or how you venture investing, how would they do that?
Yeah, they would go to CAIL.com. So that's CAIL.com. And there's different sections on the CAIL website around the venture investing and around business innovation and the CAIL software business. So if there are any questions on that, just check it out, and you're welcome to send a message to info@cail.com with any questions, and we'll respond.
All right, so that's cail.com or info@cail.com.
Correct.
Well, Ron, thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge. It's been great.
Very good, Jim.
Next time.
Good talking to you.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Profits of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.